morning, dear students. My name is Dr. Shuaib Mohammad Bhat. I am working as Assistant Professor in the Department of English. Today in this video lecture, I shall be discussing about definition and terminology with reference to Module 3. So today I shall be talking about Module 3, where we have the word formation, where we have tenses, we have degrees of comparison, we have narration, we have different grammatical aspects in our syllabus. So I shall be talking about some of the main important concepts, some of the main important definitions, and main important key terms regarding to our Module 3. This video lecture shall be only on the key terms which are related to Module 3. The first thing which I want to discuss here is morphology. What's morphology? So when we talk about morphology, it is the study of the structure and formation of words in a language. Morphology is the study of the structure and formation. It's both. It talks about the structure and it talks about the formation of the words in a language, which includes the analysis of their meaning units called morphemes. It also includes the analysis of their meaningful units. So morphology, in itself, it contains morphemes also. The first term which I discussed, or which I am discussing with you, is morphology. Morphology is the study of the structure and formation of words in a language, which includes the analysis of their meaningful units called morphemes. Though the second term which I want to discuss with you is morpheme. What's a morpheme? It is the smallest unit of meaning in a language. It can be a whole word or a part of a word, such as prefix, root word, or suffix. A morpheme is the smallest unit of meaning. It is the smallest unit of meaning in a language. So the smallest unit of meaning in a language is called as morpheme. And it can be a whole word or a part of a word. It can be the whole word. Sometimes it can be the part of a word. Such as when we talk about the parts of the word, like we have prefix, we have suffix, and sometimes it can be the whole word, any root word. It can be any root word. For example, we have a word close. It's the smallest meaning. So when we add prefix to it, it becomes enclose. So this is what I am talking about, the root word. Then we have the next term, which is prefix. Now what is prefix? Prefix, it's a morpheme which is added. It's a morpheme which is added to the beginning of a word to change its meaning. We use morphemes at the beginning of a word to we use prefix. A prefix is a morpheme which can be used at the beginning of a word to change its meaning. For example, we have the examples like happy. By adding un, it becomes unhappy. So un is a prefix. It is a morpheme. It is the smallest unit which contains meaning. And when it is added to a word at the beginning, we call it prefix. It's very easy to understand. Then after prefix, we have suffix. What is suffix? Suffix is a morpheme added to the end of a word to modify its meaning. For instance, in the word happiness. See, there is a word, actually the root word is happy. And when we add ness to it, it becomes happiness. So what I'm telling you about the suffix, it is a morpheme which can be added at the end of a word so that it can modify its meaning. Like we have this word, like I would like to take one more word, move. We can add a suffix to it, meant. It becomes movement. So it changes its meaning, and sometimes it changes its class in the grammar as well. So we call it suffix. Then we have another term related to this module third, that's root word. What is a root word? The root word is the core morpheme of a word. Root word is the core morpheme, is the core word, is the base word to which prefixes and suffixes can be added. It is that word to which we can add prefixes and suffixes. It carries the primary meaning of the word. The primary meaning of the word is carried by the root word. So, root word, we can understand, root word is the core morpheme of a word to which we are adding prefixes and suffixes. It carries the primary meaning of the word. So, the root word, as I told you, it is the core morpheme of the word, or it is the core morpheme of the base word. It is a base word to which we are adding prefixes at the beginning and suffixes at the end. And it carries the primary meaning of the word. Like as I gave you the example, there is a word mu. Mu is a root word, and we are adding ment to it, it becomes movement when we add the suffix to it. There is a word proof, is the root word. So when we add this prefix to it, it becomes improve. And to the same word we can add ment, it becomes improvement, suffix. So the root word, this is the root word, this mo is root word and prove is root word. This is the core morpheme of a word to which we can add prefixes and suffixes. Then we have another term, that is affix. Now what is affix? An affix is a morpheme attached to a root word. It is a morpheme which is attached to a root word either as a prefix or a suffix to create a new word or alter the meaning of the original word. Affix is the umbrella term for both prefix and suffix. Affix means to add. Affix is a morpheme which we attach to a root word either at the beginning or at the end. At the beginning, when we add it at the beginning, it's called as prefix. When we add it at the end, it's called as suffix. So we use these affixes in order to create new words or to alter the meaning of the original word. For that purpose, we are using affixation or affixes. Then we have another important term related to this module, that is derivation. What is derivation? It is the process of forming new words by adding affixes to the base or root word, resulting in a change in meaning or word class. Now, derivation is again the process of forming new words when we add affixes to the base word. When we are adding affixes to the base word, affixes can be the prefix or it can be the suffix. So when we add affixes to the root word, we result in a new word, or we are deriving a new word. So such kind of forming words is called a derivation. And when this derivation, it can result in a change in meaning or word class. It can change the meaning. It can change the meaning of a word, or sometimes it can change the class of the word. Then we have another term, that is inflection. Inflection, it involves adding inflectional morphemes such as suffixes or prefixes to a word to indicate grammatical features like tense, number, case, or gender. So inflectional morphemes, inflection means to add inflectional morphemes. They can be prefixes and suffixes to a word to indicate grammatical features. It indicates a grammatical feature, like it indicates tense. See, we have a word work, and when we add it ed, worked, it becomes past and it's present. So this is what we call as inflection, and these are called inflectional morphemes. Then there is next term which is important, that is compounding. What is compounding? Compounding is a word formation process where two or more independent words are combined to create a new word. Compounding is a word formation process where two or more independent words are combined. In order to create a new word. When we create new words, when we create new words by combining two or more words, that process is called compounding. Like we have a word blackboard. These are two words. One is black, another is board. So when we combine these two words, it becomes a blackboard. So as I told you, these are two different words, black and board. So after combining these two words, when we make any word, by combining two or more than two words, we call that word as compound word, or we call this process as compounding. Now, neologism. What is neologism? It's a newly coined word or expression that may be in the process of entering common use, often as a response to emerging concepts or technologies. It's any newly coined word or expression that may be in the process of entering common use, which is entering in the process of common use. So, often as a response to emerging concepts or technologies. Now we have another concept, that is back formation. Back formation is the creation of a new word by removing an affix from an existing word. For example, editor is derived from editorial. So back formation is the creation of a new word by removing affixes. If we take the example of this word editorial, so when we omit this IAL from editorial, we get the root word editor. This is called back formation, as we derived editor from the editorial. So back formation, it is the creation of a new word by removing an affix. Or if I have another word, impure water. So when we add this IM, we get the root word pure. So this is called back formation. To again form the root word. So for the back formation, what we are doing, we are omitting the affixes so that we can reach to the main word or the base word. Then we have acronym. What's acronym? An acronym is a word formed from the initial letters. It is a word which is formed from the initial letters of a phrase, with those letters pronounced together as a single word. Like we have this NATO, or we have Indian Space Research Organization, ISRO. Like we have NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or we have Indian Space Research Organization. So when we are taking the first letter of a phrase or of any term, so when we are making these first letters, when we are using them as a word, this word is called acronym. As if I talk about grammar, in grammar we have fanboys. It's an acronym. Acronym of coordinating conjunctions. Like we have coordinating conjunctions for, after, nor, but, or, yet, so. So this is acronym. So acronym means any word which is formed by the initial letters of any phrase or of any statement. Then, what are the four approaches to word formation? So when we talk about word formation, what are the four approaches? There are four approaches for word formation, and what are those four approaches? They are derivation, compounding, blending, and acronym. These are the main four approaches to word formation. Then we have next term. What is etymology? Define etymology. What's etymology? Etymology is the study of the origin and history of words. It is the study of origin and history of words. It is that branch which studies the origin and history of words, and it traces their meanings and changes from over time. And it is this branch which also traces the meaning of words, and it also checks the changes in the meanings of words over time. So this is etymology. What's reading vocabulary? Another term. Reading vocabulary is your ability to comprehend and recognize words while reading. Reading vocabulary is a reader's ability to understand and recognize words while reading. When you are reading anything, any written material, if you comprehend everything clearly, if you understand everything easily, and if you are able to recognize words, so that means your reading vocabulary is good. Then the next point is listening vocabulary. What is listening vocabulary? Listening vocabulary refers to the set of words that an individual can understand and recognize when they are spoken or presented in an auditory context. So it is a set of words which an individual can easily understand and can easily recognize when they are spoken in an ordinary context. For example, when others speak, when I speak, if you are able to recognize the words and understand the words clearly, that means your listening vocabulary is good. So listening vocabulary means to recognize and understand words when they are spoken. Reading vocabulary, on the other hand, means to understand and recognize the words when they are read. Then, what is blending in linguistic context? One of the important approaches to form words. See, in linguistics, blending, it refers to a process of combining parts of two words to create a new word with a meaning that reflects elements of the original word. Blending is the process when we join two different words in order to form a new word which has the elements of the original word, and it has a meaning that reflects elements of the original word. It's called blending. I would like to quote an example of blending. There is a word brunch, which is formed by blending breakfast and lunch. We have BR, then we have UNCH of lunch. So this brunch is actually the first part of the day when one eats after waking up. When we wake up, after that, the food which we are taking is called breakfast. And lunch is a meal eaten in the middle of the day. Lunch is a meal which we eat in the middle of the day. Now there is the blending of these two words which results in brunch. It is a term commonly used a late morning and early afternoon meal. Now when you are not taking breakfast, you are late to the breakfast, but you are eating it before the lunch time. So in between breakfast and lunch time, whatever you are eating, that meal is called as brunch. So this is blending. By blended two words, we got a new word called brunch. And when it comes to its meaning, it reflects the originality of that word. It reflects some elements of the original word. Original words, they talk about meals, they talk about food. And brunch is also a word which talks about food. This linguistic phenomenon, it allows us for creation of concise and expressive vocabulary to describe new concepts or cultural phenomena. So it is this linguistic phenomenon, or it is this linguistic, I can say, this linguistic space which gives us some space, or which helps us to form new words which are concise and expressive. So this is the benefit of blending. Then, speaking vocabulary. What is speaking vocabulary? It refers to the set of words that an individual can effectively use and articulate when communicating verbally. Speaking vocabulary, it refers to the set of words that an individual can effectively use and articulate if you are able to use and articulate certain words, many words effectively, that means your speaking vocabulary is good. Then written vocabulary. Now what is written vocabulary? Written vocabulary, it refers to the words that a person can use accurately and effectively when composing written text. Written vocabulary is that vocabulary, or it refers to the words that a person can use accurately and effectively when composing written text. So when you are composing a written text, if you are able to understand and use accurately the words, that means your written vocabulary is good. Then we have a new term, new concept, that is a loan word. Now what is a loan word? Loan word is a term which is borrowed from one language and incorporated into another language. There are a lot of words which English has borrowed from other languages and they are used in English language. English is the language which has borrowed a lot of words from different tribes and different cultures. That's why when you are defining any term, you come to know it is derived from a Latin word, from a Greek word, from a Celtic word. Because these are the tribes who have given these words. So what I want to tell you, a loan word is a term which is borrowed from one language and incorporated into other. It is borrowed from one language and it is incorporated into other, often with some adaptation to fit the phonetic, morphological and grammatical structure of the borrowing language. And it has been taken with some adaptation to fit the phonetic, morphological and grammatical structure of the borrowing language. So when a language borrows it, it is being adopted in the language according to the phonetic, morphological and grammatical structure of the borrowing language. Means the language is giving it the phonetic, morphological and grammatical recognition. I would like to quote some examples of loan words. We have a word cafe which we use. Very popular word, cafe. It's actually a French word, but now it's used in English. So it can be called as a loan word. In English it means a small restaurant or coffee house. We have a word which is called as guru. It's a Sanskrit word, but this is being used in English. In English, a guru means a spiritual teacher or guide. We have a word which is piano. Piano. Piano means it's an Italian word, but in English it means a musical instrument with keys that produce sounds by striking strings. Then I would like to move now to another term, RSVP. What's RSVP? It's a French word that is respond s'il vous plaît. It means respond if you please. So then I would like to move to the next term. What's one word substitution? Because this comes in your third module, one word substitution. One word substitution is a process in which people use one word to replace a wordy phrase to make the sentence structure more clear. One word substitution, it is a process in which people use one word, to replace a wordy phrase to make the sentence structure more clear. There is a word philanthropist. What does this mean? It means a person who seeks to promote the welfare of others, a person who helps others, typically through donation of money, resources or time to charitable causes. This person is called as philanthropist. We have a word iconoclast. Iconoclast is a person who attacks and criticizes traditional or widely accepted beliefs, customs and institutions. The people who are criticizing traditional institutes, customs, beliefs, we call them as iconoclasts. Then there is another word, prodigy. What's prodigy? It is a person, especially a young one, who is exceptionally talented and intelligent. We call that person prodigy. There are some other definitions. You can go with all the definitions. They are about one word definition. Like we have maverick. It's an independent-minded person who does not conform to the opinions and practices of others. Then we have all other examples are given. I want you all to go with all these, like luminary is there, luminary is there, eccentric is there, cacophony is there, virtuoso is there. So I want you to go with all these things. Then we have another term in our topic in our syllabus is tense. What is a tense? It refers to the form of a verb that indicates the time of action. Tense refers to the form of verb which indicates time of action or the state of being in relation to the time of speaking. Like we have present, now there are different tenses. Present tense is there. Present tense is used to describe actions or situations that are happening now. When do we use present tense, or what is the work of present tense? Present tense, it shows us the happenings, it shows that work that's happening now or that occurs regularly. For example, I walk to the store. This is happening regularly and it's happening now. So this is present tense. What is past tense? Past tense is used to describe actions or situations that have already happened. Past tense shows us those actions that have already happened. For example, she completed her homework yesterday. When it is completed, so it is past form of verb, and yesterday itself is an indication that we are talking about past. So this is past tense. Then we have future tense. It is used to describe actions or situations that will happen at some point of time in future. Now future tense, it talks about actions which will happen in the coming future. For example, they will travel to Europe next month. So we are talking about next month. Now when I say they will travel, so this will travel is showing that it's going to happen in the future. So this is about the three tenses. We have subject-verb agreement. What is subject? The subject is the main noun or pronoun that the sentence is about which the sentence is or about whom the sentence is called subject. It performs the action or is the one affected by it. The subject sometimes performs the action or it is affected by the action. Like we have an example, the cat is sleeping. The sentence is about the cat. So the cat is subject. Then verb. A verb is a word that expresses an action. It shows an occurrence and it expresses the state of being. It is the core of a sentence and often indicates what the subject is doing. Verb is the core of a sentence and it is verb which shows us what the subject is doing in a sentence. So like we have an example, the dog barks loudly. There is the word barks. It's verb. It is the word barks which tells us what subject is doing. Now what is subject-verb agreement? Agreement refers to the correspondence in number between a subject and its verb. Subject-verb agreement means agreement between the subject and the verb. It refers to the correspondence in number between a subject and its verb, like singular or plural. If the subject is singular, verb has to be singular. Subject is plural, verb has to be plural. Now example, the team is practicing. See, the subject is singular and the verb is also singular. Then let's talk about singular subject. A singular subject refers to one person, one place, one thing or one idea. For example, the boy runs fast. So we have singular subject, the boy, and verb with S is singular. There is a very opposite rule. When we are forming the plurals of nouns, we are adding ses, ies to form the plurals of nouns. But here with the verbs having ses, ies are considered as singular. Then, now plural subject. A plural subject refers to more than one person, place, thing or idea. Like the girls laugh loudly. The girls is plural and laugh is the plural verb. Now singular verb. A singular verb is used with singular subject to maintain subject-verb agreement. For example, the bird in the tree sings beautifully. The bird is the subject and sings is the verb, which is singular. So here it is singular verb with singular subject. Now let's talk about plural verb. A plural verb is used with the plural subject to maintain subject-verb agreement. See, the subject is the flowers. It is plural subject. The verb is bloom. It's plural verb. Had it been blooms, then it would have been the singular subject. Then, in your syllabus, there is a degrees of comparison. What is positive degree? Positive degree is the basic form of an adjective or an adverb, indicating a quality without making any comparison. It is used when no comparison is being made. So positive degree is the basic or the base form of an adjective or adverb. It is used when no comparison is made. Like the cat is fast. The fast is the base form of adjective here. Now what is comparative degree? The comparative degree is used to compare two things, which indicates a greater or lesser degree of the quality possessed by the noun. And this is typically formed by adding er to the adjective or the verb, or by using more before the adjective or adverb. For longer words, like we have an example, the cheetah is faster than cat. Here we have faster. When we are making comparison between two things, we are using comparative degree. So we make this comparative by adding er at the end or by adding more at the end to the adjectives and the adverbs. So this form is used to make comparison between two places, two persons, two objects, two ideas. Then we have superlative degree. What is superlative degree? Superlative degree is used to compare three or more things when we are making comparison of more than two things. And it is indicating the highest or lowest degree of the quality possessed by the noun. Now it shows highest and the lowest degree possessed by the noun. And it is typically formed by est and most before the adjectives or the adverbs. Like the cheetah is the fastest land animal. When I make the comparison, it's not comparison between two animals now. It is between cheetah and all the land animals. There are more than two. And this sort of comparison we can make by the third degree, by the superlative degree of an adjective or an adverb. So this is how we use superlative degree. Then we have question tags. What is a question tag? A question tag is a statement which is used for two purposes. One, to confirm an idea or confirm anything. Or second use of question tag is we use question tags to encourage the listeners to give us answers. For example, there is an example, you like ice cream, don't you? So when I say you like ice cream, I mean I know it. And when I say don't you, so I am confirming whether I am right or wrong. And at the same time, I am encouraging the receiver, the listener, to answer me, to respond me. So this is what question tag can be used for. Question tags, as I told you, they can be used for two purposes. One is for the confirmation. Second is to encourage listeners to give answers. These are the two uses of these question tags. Now there are positive question tag. A question tag that has a positive form often used after a negative sentence. Let's talk about the formation of question tags. How can you form a question tag, or how can you structure a question tag? First, there comes statement. We need one statement followed by comma. Then we need the question tag, and then we need question mark. These are the four things which we require for question tags. One is statement, second is comma, third is question tag, and fourth is question mark. These are the four things which we require in order to form or in order to structure a question tag. Now there is one thing. If the statement is positive, question tag will be negative. If the statement is negative, question tag will be positive. Take the example. See, you like ice creams. It is positive statement. You like ice creams. Don't you? Don't you is negative. So this is the rule. If the statement is positive, question tag will be negative. If the statement is negative, question tag will be positive. But there is an exception. What is that exception? The exception is if your statement contains emotions of anger, or it contains emotions of surprise, or it contains an emotion of interest, question tag will always be positive, no matter if the statement is negative. If the statement containing anger, containing surprise, containing interest is negative or positive, question tag will always be positive. This you need to keep in your mind. The second exception is this. If you start a statement with nobody or nothing, this statement will be considered as negative and question tag has to be positive. For example, nothing is clear. Nothing is clear. Is it? So when we start any statement with nothing or nobody, it is always termed as negative and question tag will be positive. This is the rule of grammar. We cannot change this rule. So this is about question tag. So when we are forming the question tags, the statement remains, statement is positive, question tag is negative. When the statement is negative, question tag will be positive. But for other reasons, there are certain exceptions which I told you. If your statement contains anger, it contains surprise, it contains interest, it is always requiring positive question tag. If your sentence starts with nobody, or it starts with no one or nothing, it is always considered as negative statement. So I would like to just repeat with a quick glance. I talked about morphology, I talked about morpheme, I talked about prefix. These all are the important terms. I talked about suffix, I talked about root word, I talked about affix. Derivation I talked about, inflection I talked about, and one of the important forms of root formation I talked about, that's compounding. When we compare two or more than two words and to form a word, that's called compounding. Like classroom, it is made up of two words, class and room. Like blackboard, as it is there. So I talked about neologism, I talked about back formation. What is back formation? It is to omit the affixes. I talked about acronym. I talked about 4 approaches to word formation. I talked about etymology, reading vocabulary. Then I talked about listening vocabulary. Then blending in linguistics. One of the important terms, blending means to add certain elements from two words in order to make a new word with a meaning which has some element of the original words. Then I gave the example of brunch as it has been taken from breakfast and lunch. Breakfast we take after waking up, and lunch we take in the middle of the day. But brunch is the meal which we take before the lunchtime and after the breakfast. So this is one of the important terms you need to know. I talked about speaking vocabulary. I talked about written vocabulary. I talked about loan word. There are certain loan words. You can use these loan words. I talked about one word substitution. Almost 10 examples I have given you. I talked about tense. There I talked about present, past and future tense. Subject verb agreement. I talked about subject verb and agreement also. Then I talked about singular subject, plural, singular verb, plural verb. I talked about degrees of comparison, positive degree, comparative degree, superlative degree, then question tags. So I would like to finish my lecture here. If you want extra information regarding the lecture, these are the sources. You can consult these sources. You can find something interesting. This is all for today. Thank you. Thank you for listening carefully.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.